Well, and good afternoon, and welcome to the penultimate race of week number 6, the All Dungeons Key Sanity. And here we have this matchup between WJPDTB and Old Swagga Jackson. Representing a WJPDTB is BrewersFanJP, and representing Old Swagga Jackson is Marcnificent, in a very critical matchup here in the Misery Mire division. Hey, all friends, I'm Adirondack Rick, being joined by In the Name of DT.
Good afternoon, Rick. Good afternoon, chat. Yeah, I can't echo what you said enough, especially the part where I can't even say my own team's name. So I'm not going to try and echo that. This is a huge race. This is a really, really huge race. JP, of course, one of my teammates. Looking forward to watching this and really looking forward to talking about this. This could go either way, of course. Just super tough matchups this week for a lot of teams, but super tough standings, as you mentioned as well. WJPDTB currently at a 7-4 record. Winning this would put my team up to an 8-4, but losing this would put Old Swagga Jackson at the we would basically have the same record. It would be a 1-1. And we don't know what's going to happen in Week 7 yet. So WJTB did all the letters, hoping for a win here just to get that slight edge going into Week 7. And Old Swagga Jackson looking to keep their chances alive and take a win from us as well. So, no, this is critical for Misery Mire division.
This is almost an elimination game for Old Swagga Jackson. They won't necessarily be fully eliminated out of this, but they will be pretty much 1 foot out the door as far as it would be concerned, because at that stage, it would be a tie for second place between Did You Check Your Boot and WJPDTB. As we are underway, let's get this race going, and we find a piece of heart in the sanctuary. We'll get JP going in just a moment. There he goes.
So one of the final races of Week 6, of course, the most beloved All Dungeons Key Sanity, aka the almost full clear mode every time. There's a lot of different things that could hold runners up as you go down the stretch. As you've seen throughout the weeks, it's more than just your normal Ice Rod hunts. There's Castle Tower keys, which are typically the new bane of everyone's existence.
Or big keys to the dungeons.
Yeah. There's so many things that can be in a number of different locations in this that just you really just got to be thorough in your strategies, and it's not really a mode where you can second guess yourself, even less than normal modes. You just gotta play your game and hope for the best.
Absolutely, and we see a differing of strategies right here, and it looks like Marcnificent's getting lucky with the tree pull being 5 rupees, and the Hermit Crab here dropping bombs, while JP is going with the Houlihan strats, because there's no guarantee you're ever going to get the stuff you need in Kakariko Village. We do see 10 arrows at the Lumberjack Ledge.
So that's a good thing. Some of these visual spots you don't necessarily go and check. You just kind of know you're going to have to do. With the number of small keys that are in the item pool, you just kind of expect to see one of those there. And it's like seeing a mushroom there or powder, something you may not need, but you don't ever want to see it. So it's really good to be able to rule that out right away. And ultimately, I do like these strategies from both runners starting off. JP farming these bushes for a couple of bombs, and that's working out nicely, as well as getting the money.
As we get a cameo from In the Name of DT's cat, as Old Swagga Jackson's Marcnificent dropping down into the hole, getting 20 rupees that he'll go ahead and pick up. And so it's good news and bad news about that Lumberjack tree. Because runners would like to do Agate Tower as the last stop before they do Ganon, but sometimes having a required item there is good, because it's not going to come down to Castle Tower 2 having to search 27 chests of Ganon's towers. We do see a key in the library.
Yes, we do. And that is an interesting point. I guess it depends on what kind of mentality you want to take as a runner. Do you want to be able to rule it out right away, even though you're still going to need those 2 castle keys? Or would you rather know that there's something there and, hey, you'll have to get to it eventually? In the race earlier in the week between these 2 teams, the flippers were there, and the Castle Tower keys, fortunately, were pretty early, as well as the required tools to be able to beat the tower and get that item. So that provided some sort of peace of mind as well. As JP finds the sword in the back of the tavern and goes to make some bomb purchases. Marcnificent, not finding much yet, going through Blind's Hut. we'll see what else happens in Kakariko.
He did find the Eastern Palace big key, which is going to be one of the required keys throughout the entire run of this. So we'll see where the bow shows up, also where the lamp is, to put that all in logic.
Interesting thing is that the fire rod itself could put the Eastern Palace boss in logic and still alienate one of the checks in the dungeon that does hard require the lamp.
That's very true. A 20% 20% rebate from the bottle vendor as we head into the well, both together. 20 rupees in the first chest. And bombos. That's a nice find.
Bombos in the back of the well could be a substitute for the fire rod in parts. Just all in all, not a bad thing to find.
Depends on when the seed actually wants us to do Agate Tower, because you may not necessarily have a lot of hearts going into Agate Tower, and hey, having bombos will take care of those guards pretty well.
Some of those guards do get pretty irritating. That's
oh yeah, especially the red ones.
Mm-hmm.
The blue guards on the 4th floor can get annoying just because of the pits.
True. Basically, there's just a lot of annoyance in Agate Tower. I don't think it's anyone's favorite thing. And yet, the interesting thing is that it's a really... The climb itself, excluding the Aga fight, is only about a 2-minute climb. So it's not a huge time commitment. It's not a big time sink. But I don't know that it's anyone's favorite thing to do either way.
And the reason why runners like to do it heading into the Ganon fight is because of the free refill post-fight, so they'll have full hearts, full magic going into the Ganon fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might lead to some interesting things at the top of Ganon's tower. You might not see them pick up that full magic refill right before Maldorm 2. You might wonder, wait, why? You need that? And then... Well,
oh, that's right. You're going to Agate Tower next.
Correct. So it's interesting how a mode like this can change the perspective for runners as we go through. And all in all, just fairly standard opening. Got a sword, we got bombos, we got a big key. So we came out of Kakariko with a little bit of stuff, but realistically not a lot.
And we do get a map check here. We do see that Hera is a pendant, as well as Eastern is a crystal. Pendants and crystals don't matter quite as much here because of the fact that it's all dungeon, so you have to do them all. But the 5, 6, and the green pendants, they do matter.
Yes, they do. Of course, with Key Sanity, we don't know what our dungeon information is until we get those maps. Talking to Sahasrara, talking to the bomb shop will at least get you information on those respective rewards. But it begs the question, like, how often do you see map checks? Like, do you check it every couple of maps? Do you just basically wait until you have a map for a dungeon you can beat to see what the reward is? Or if you have a dungeon you can beat, do you even check it at all? So there's a lot of different ways that people can go through this.
We find the Ice Palace big key. And we got our first bottle, which comes annoyingly after we do the entire Kakariko checks.
Yeah, we're going to hope to find something else to motivate a return back to Kakariko just to turn that in. Or that could be one of the last things that gets done in the near future.
Like a flu or the magic powder plus the hammer. Things that, yeah, as you point out, make you want to come back to the village because you don't want to go after a loose square like that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a lot of rupees here, and of course JP's rupees are inflated by the fact that he did Houlihan strats. So he will soon have enough rupees for Zora if he chooses to do so, but you're not going to make that push unless you get the flippers or you get the Moon Pearl.
Mm-hmm. So we see JP taking a walk through desert to see what's on the ledge, and then an Agana play. It's an interesting one early. There's a small key on the ledge. Okay, so another unknown. Big shock. Agnes Cave, a place that can frequently be left aside until kind of mid to late game at times. And, you know, in a mode like this, as long as the game is going to be, I mean, all dungeons key sanity, folks. Going for these out-of-the-way checks early on isn't nearly as much of a risk as it may be in shorter modes. So you can take these moments, you can check other things. Just finding a map. So simultaneous maps on both screens, just a little bit of information. Nothing of note out of the front of Escape from Marcnificent right now either.
And technically, this check coming up here for Marcnificent is going to be out of logic at this stage because we haven't seen the lamp or we haven't seen the Hyrule Castle key. So that's something that you have to keep mind of while you're doing this mode here is what's in logic and what's out of logic.
That's a really interesting point. To be honest, this is not a check that I ever consider the logic for. I just go for it. And I suspect a lot of people will also just go for it. There's probably many runners that analyze it deeper than I do, and good for them. We're just getting a big key for Skullwoods out of Zelda's cell.
Not necessarily needed to beat the dungeon, but if there's something inside that big chest, well, we're definitely going to need it at some point in time.
The good thing about that is between like Swamp Palace, or even more so for Swamp, but for Skull as well, that's not a place that you want to go back for if you find the big key after beating the dungeon. So that's one that's actually, even though it's not required necessarily, it's nice to have.
Hey, we got a lamp and the Castle Tower small key, number 1, as well as the ice rod in Mini Moldorm Cave.
So there's a good bit of stuff to keep our tracker busy. Shoutouts, by the way, to Dark Diplomat, who will be keeping these things up to date over the next hour and a half, 2 hours. Thank you for doing this.
You mean Dark Diplomat's here? Then we better reserve 3 hours for this.
Is that so?
Yeah, let's just say that Dark Diplomat has gained a notoriety for tracking really, really long seeds.
So, if Dark Diplomat clicks everything right now, does that mean it's in our inventories and then it's a short seed? No, this isn't that sort of a crowd control.
It does not work that way.
It does not. That's fine. Well, it'll be what it is. I'm here for the ride, however it goes.
Yep. And JP in for the ride to get 300 rupees. That is enough for Zora, but Zora is out of logic at this point. And Marcnificent's making the way over to Agina. We'll get that Skull Woods map in just a few moments, as well as the information that there's a small key up there. And, you know, the thing with small keys is you never know if you need them or not. They could be one of the important ones, like the Castle Tower small key or the Swamp small. Or they could be one of the Skull Woods smalls that are technically needed, but you don't need any.
Correct, yeah. Mire, Ice Palace, other dungeons where small keys can actually kind of help make the routing a little bit more convenient, but there's ways to get through it without collecting any prior to going in.
So we're going to see JP do the same thing, and now with the lamp, he's probably going to make a play for Dark Cross as well.
We will see Dark Cross. I have to say I'm a little bit surprised, or maybe I've just not paid attention enough, but I'm a little bit surprised that neither runner has decided to go to Eastern Palace. I guess in this case, specifically JP, since he has the lamp already. Just because between Sahasrara and Eastern, there are more collective checks available than Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, I think it's more of just the fact that JP just got the lamp over here at the Mini Moldorm Cave, so he'll make his way over there at some point in time, but the next logical place for him to check was the Ice Rod Cave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could just be difference in runner preference. We obviously know at this point there's really nothing in Hyrule Castle that's gonna, like, we can't use that Skullwoods big key right now, right? So after this, it's, unless there's something in Dark Cross, I shouldn't get too far ahead of myself. JP does have that one extra check in logic. We'll be heading over to the east soon enough anyway, within the next minute or two.
And of course, with that Castle Tower key, we could, if we get the second sword or the cape, be able to check those 2 chests in Aga's Tower. They sometimes have things that you really need, but you don't want to go there right yet.
No, we do not. Personally, that's probably one of my least favorite checks to have to make in a key sanity mode.
Mm-hmm. Key sanity is all about when do you make a play for a dungeon, because if you end up having to double dip and triple dip certain dungeons a little too much, that will put you behind. And we've seen races over the course of this week that was decided because we saw runners sometimes having to double and triple dip dungeons, whereas the other one, they were able to make a more convenient path, and hey, they had a lot easier time with it.
Right. Certain dungeons like Palace of Darkness, having 6 small keys, runners typically try to hold off until at least 2, maybe 3 keys before dipping into that. Having that patience, patience is great, but sometimes you just gotta make the decision, go for it. Especially if you can feel yourself running out of options. Like sometimes you just got to get into a dungeon and hope for the best. But yeah, that can run the risk of double or triple dipping certain places. Now we're going to see a different check here from Marcnificent.
Yeah.
Fake flippering. We're going to see the hobo.
And as pointed out, none of this is in logic. We don't have the flippers. And of course, if we go all the way to Zora, that's not in logic just yet because we don't have the flippers, nor do we have a glove, which would put it in logic, either one of those two.
Correct. We don't even have a way to, without Moon Pearl or boots, to do water walks and stuff. The Zora check is kind of not an appealing one right now since we can't even get what's in the waterfall.
Yeah.
So small key, 2 pod, and a heart piece. So nothing immediately helpful in either one of these locations.
Yep. Pod 1. And here's the thing. Once we do get that Dark World access, there's nothing screaming at this point where they go after they're done with this. Like, you get to, like, the 15-minute mark in some of these Key Sanity, all Dungeon Key Sanity runs, you've got an idea where the seed wants you to go once you get Dark World access, and I don't feel like we have that just yet.
Right. You might either have traditional Dark World access by this point, you might have the ability to get across the river, like if we find both Castle Tower keys. We really, I mean, yeah, Ice Rod is a great thing to have, really. It doesn't do anything right now. We really have nothing leading us right now, so we just gotta stick with some of these early game checks until we find something and put these pieces together.
Can burn a piece of heart and a red rupee. Meanwhile, Marcnificent has seen a big key on the Zora ledge, and we also found out that Ice Palace is our green pendant.
So Rick, remember that bottle?
Yes, I do remember that bottle.
We're down to Eastern Palace. We'll see what's at Zora right now, and then it's just a shield, whatever.
Yeah.
Eastern Palace and bottle. So we're down to our last few locations right now. And honestly, like it's super unlikely we're gonna find like glove, hammer, and pearl in Eastern. So like we're gonna find like a piece of something to get us to like a couple more things. Is what I'm thinking is most likely here.
I'm going to make a guess that we're going to find a glove and a hook shot.
That would give us Back of Escape as well as Death Mountain.
Yeah.
And I could see the game opening up quite a bit from there. Just bombs.
Well, that's not a glove.
Can you wear a bomb like a glove, though? I'm sure there's a way.
Our team may be the bomb squad, but we haven't figured out a way to do that just
Have
yet.
you played Mega Man 1?
Well, he throws the bombs, doesn't wear them.
Comes out of his hand, though. That's gotta be close enough, right?
I'll give you it.
Blue Boomerang again, so still nothing more. We've got 3 more checks in Logic right now for JP in Eastern Palace.
Actually, it's really nice to find out that the stun prize is 5 rupees if we're ever in a money grind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, checking that stun pack's always good. Magic bombs, health, more magic, I don't know. It's a good piece of info to have.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you're running low on something. What's your favorite prize pack when you get a stun prize? Wow.
You know, I want to go with bombs. Magic would probably be a close second, but I want to go with bombs. Hearts might be a really close third, but
there's our glove.
So many of those stun packs have such versatile use, though. Like, they could all be good, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that glove's real nice. Death Mountain access for a couple of things. Back of Escape. Maybe we'll find a mirror. Maybe we'll find a hook shot to get further up Death Mountain. But for now, Back of Escape is probably the next thing that we're going to see from these runners.
Yeah, that's a very fair assessment. There's a quick check right after you save and quit and head right straight to the Sanctuary. Of course, that could change depending on what we find here at the Vanilla Big Key chest.
Now, if this were week 7, we could press on toward the back and hope that there's a beatable boss. But this is not the case.
Yeah. Next week being the co-op Randomizer. to wrap things up for this regular season of the 3rd season of League. That starts tomorrow.
Tomorrow is in fact Monday.
Yeah, and we know how Garfield feels about Mondays.
Well, as far as I know, he's not racing tomorrow, so that should be fine.
Well, that's good to know.
3 more quick checks in the back of Escape, and then we'll actually have this whole sequence done. Small key for Pod. Good to have 2 of those early. And
the Titan's Myth, but that does not give us Dark World access just yet. So there's something either on the mountain or on Sick Kid, or both.
Right. We have... What all do we have? We just have Sick Kid, the Old Man, and Inside a Spectacle at this point, so...
Yeah.
One of those 3 locations, I wonder if we might see JP hit the Sick Kid. Not hit him, like, take the item. Check them.
That would be
then head up the mountain.
That's Fred's job for my team.
Slightly different hit, but yeah, close enough. So we're just gonna go straight up the mountain. Get you that save and quit point, as well as 2 quick items.
Yeah.
It's definitely the better play. We'll see what happens.
Unless we find it out that the hook shot's on Sick Kid, in which Marcnificent, if he chooses to go that direction, saves himself a little bit of time. But you're right. This is the more advantageous play more often than not.
I do think checking Sick Kid before heading up the mountain does have its merits, though.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, we're going to get the save and quit point here anyway.
Yep.
If there's nothing here, we go check Sick Kid. If it's hook shot, we just save and quit. We're right back up here.
There's the hook shot.
Hey, we can save and quit, and we will still be right here, too.
Yes.
But no, that hook shot is, like, the thing that you want to see right now. Mm-hmm. I think that's actually the better choice than Moon Pearl, even.
Oh, yeah.
Because this keeps it more focused. Personally, I prefer more linear runs, and that's what that does. Moon Pearl would open up the world. However,
yeah, especially since now that we got the Titan's Myth.
That's the ticket right there, Rick. We have that Titan's Myth. So if we go to East Death Mountain and we find the Moon Pearl, we've got all of Dark Death Mountain we can tackle all at once, too. And that just feels so good to knock out Paradox, Super Bunny, and Hookshot Cave all at once. Did I forget any caves? I think I listed all of them over there. Hookshot,
I see what you did. I see where you're going with this. I'm just not going to acknowledge it.
I think that's the issue.
This commentary is already spiraling out of control.
Oh man, might just have to drop down a pit. I don't know. But let's see what we got. 7 items over in Paradox, 1 more in Spiral. We'll get the knowledge of what's on Floating Island. And again, we really don't have any other choice. So like, this is what we need to do. It's either this or like Moon Pearl's on Sick Kid, or it's
there we go.
So this is really
so
ideal.
Let's talk what else could be on Sick Kid so we can find it immediately from JP as he grabs it.
At this point, literally anything.
Okay. Talk about the hookshot being on Sick Kid. He gets it from Old Man. Talk about the Moon Pearl. There it is. How about the bow?
Oh, that one's totally like, I don't know.
There's the flute.
So we'll get some quick travel. That's actually really good to have. As well as the big key for GT, of course we need that. That flute's real nice, because that's going to motivate a dip somewhat into Kakariko right away to activate it, and maybe check Sick Kid all at once. That's that motivation I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, if we didn't have the flute, you could see the runners just go straight into the Dark World, possibly deciding to leave that 1 check alone for a little. So it's good to have that. And there's a big key on the Floating Island. We will have to keep that in mind.
At least minimum 2 keys that are currently locked by the mirror, maybe 3, depending on how the book placement is.
Not to mention, just a general note of remembering where you've seen these visible keys, because we've got a big key on the Zora ledge as well.
Mm-hmm. Which is something JP hasn't seen just yet, but that is something that Marcnificent is very aware of. That's
true. Way too early to say whether or not that could turn into any sort of an advantage, but if you have information that your opponent doesn't, that's a good thing to have.
Oh, yeah. And we find the Sanctuary Heart in that one unknown cave that you were trying to get me to say.
I'm sorry, what? I'm deafened.
so you are.
So we'll get these Super Bunny checks. These two, we will check Hookshot Cave. And then I'm looking forward to seeing what the Dark World's going to bring us. Marcnificent having a little bit of trouble there with those mini Maldorms. They are quite obnoxious.
Yeah, kind of went awry with the trying to get them bombed and taken care of that way, and just ran into a lot of trouble. And it looks like that Marcnificent's going to be making the decision to orphan off that cave that will not be named. Gotta be careful the Tektites, though. They do 2 hearts of damage. There's the mirror. All right, never mind. He's not orphaning off that cave.
That'll actually work out for him, yeah.
Although he is getting trapped in a cage with these dead rocks. Just trying to be careful. Down to 1 heart. Doesn't want to take the death. There we go.
Into the Dark World safely. Just have to avoid a couple of... Actually, no. With Hookshot, we're not going to have to avoid any beetles. So yeah. Marcnificent should be just fine. We have Bombos for Turtle Rock, by the way.
Of course we do. Obviously, we can't do anything about that. And are we going to get the... Oh... We are gonna get the heart purchase. You don't see that too often.
Sometimes it's just necessary, though.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. You've got a heart of health in a place where everything's going to kill you in 1 hit.
Yeah. Turtle Rock Small right there. And I think that was pretty much it for this. But of course, JP, remembering that there is a key on the floating island, is going to mirror and see what key that is.
Imagine remembering that there's a key on floating island. Good heads up by JP. I could learn something from him.
And Marcnificent, I think, just knighted that chest that had the mirror in it. And it's the big key to Misery Mire, something that we definitely will need. There are a few big keys in this game that we definitely won't need, but that's one of them that you are going to take. All right. JP's wants to get that small key on Spectacle Rock, and then we'll head into the Tower of Hera. Now, technically, we can't beat this dungeon, but these runners have a trick that they could use that will allow them to beat the dungeon at a price.
At a price?
Yes.
What price would that be?
Orphaning off the big chest.
Sounds like quite a risk. Generally you see this more often than you don't. So runners, the consensus seems to be that that risk is worth taking.
Yeah. Well, you're up here and you've pretty much cleared off the entire mountain at this point. You want to finish off this dungeon, so JP's going to do what we call the Hera Pot. Now, without the boots, you're going to be trying to bomb yourself into that location. Try to set up the pixel perfect spot. Trying to readjust himself to get to that right position. Lays down the bomb. Now, it's a matter of whether or not you're on the right pixel. He's lining it up with the right side of that chest, and he's got it.
Nice. Makes that look fairly simple. So that'll get him upstairs for one more item as well as the boss.
Yep.
And the first dungeon completed with Marcnificent following exactly behind.
Mm-hmm. And so this boss here is going to be a test to see how well these runners do the NMG style, with the exception that they won't have the boots. Because it's time for Moldorm to have some fun. 6 hits to kill.
That is it. Fighter Sword our only option right now. Boots can actually make this a pretty interesting fight, where you'll actually be able to dash at, I believe, the same speed that Moldorm moves in the enraged state. So that actually allows you to dash through and get that last poke. But yep, this one is just going to be a test of patience.
And there's Marcnificent getting the jump right there. And nice kill there for JP, finishing off. And we will have our first dungeon done. It's Pendant Hera, getting 3 bombs for the price.
So nothing of value aside from this pendant, which of course we need. But that's fine. The world's about to open us up to us. We've got Mitts, we've got Moon Pearl, we have a flute, we have a mirror. There's very little that we can't access right now.
I can think of a few things, but those are either flipper or hammer blocked at this point. Let's see how Marcnificent does against this Moldorm fight. And thankfully with the fighter sword, pokes, swings, and slashes, they all do the same value. There's the 5 hits. Just needs to get him one more time. Oh, if he took the swing earlier, he would have had it. Come on!
Oh, just gets popped right the side. Doing a real good job holding that sword out and holding the directional to stay on the platform as much as he could. But when Moldorm wants to hit you from the side, that's just it.
JP going into the Dark World over here via the Kakariko portal. Is going to head into Skull Woods first, see what we have inside.
I actually like this. We do have the Skull Big, so we can take care of that. We will be able to, if JP desires, be able to steal a key from the back even, and it looks like he's heading straight back there, to make sure that we can safely check everything without getting locked out.
All right, 5 hits here. 4.
Oh, no.
And now you've got to keep your emotions under control because that's the toughest thing to do. And he's now in trouble here with these enemies as well. Why didn't he farm up some hearts?
Not a bad choice. The
yeah.
blue beetle doing a full heart. The red beetle actually doing 2 full hearts.
Yeah,
So
I'm glad he didn't get hit by that. Red rupee for JP, and now he's going to go ahead and grab that key so he can check the other side, and that's another fall there. The worst thing about the falls here for Marcnificent is the fact that he's had it both on 5 hits when he ended up taking the fall, so that's the worst thing here. It's just got to calm his emotions down and make sure that he can take care of this fight with a level brain.
Yeah, if you're gonna get knocked down, you want to do that on like the 1st or 2nd hit, somewhere early in the fight.
There's 1. There's 2. The one thing you don't want to do is get dropped down the middle hole as we find the bow in Skull Woods.
You know, when you asked me earlier where the bow was, I did not guess that.
Almost. Oh, it's finally got him.
There we go. Moldorm down for Marcnificent. As JP also picks up the powder in Skull Woods. We've got a few more items that we can find here.
Yep, and with the Moon Pearl plus the Titan Smiths plus the mirror, that Magic Bat is in logic right now.
We might see an entire Smith chain sooner than later too, because that mirror just makes it so much more convenient.
Oh yeah.
And a big key for Pod. This is actually shaping up to be real nice. We've got 2 Pod Smalls already and the big key. Just a hammer, and if our runners choose, they could, although out of logic because we don't have enough Pod Smalls, decide to maybe just go straight for Helmet Sword.
I know what Marcnificent was doing, trying to get around the portal or around the hammer pegs, but that was a rough 4 hearts to lose to the Lionels right there. We do see a small key on the bumper ledge. That's the tough thing about small keys, as we pointed out earlier. We don't know if they're going to be needed.
Yeah, I guess seeing the lumberjack tree not have anything is fine, and except that we're seeing keys in like literally every other visible spot so far, and we've not been able to get any of them. So that's a lot of cleanup to do later on. Potential cleanup. We might not need those, but that's not super fun either.
At least we had the device to pick up some of those keys by way of the mirror.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of time.
Here's another small key, this one being to Ice Palace. It's one of those ones that you don't necessarily need to beat the dungeon.
That's true. But especially if we wind up getting Kana Samaria for entering, it's just going to make the routing much more friendly throughout the dungeon.
Oh yeah, for certain. So as these runners are doing a little bit of walking, we'll check out the Misery Mire division. See if somebody makes the pathway to Misery Mire at some point in time here. Shack Tool's digging game currently sitting at 9-3. They've already clinched their spot for the playoffs. A win here for JP would put WJPDTB into a tie with Did You Check Your Boot, who's currently sitting in second with an 8-4 record. And then we have the you guys here with 21 points. Everyone else, 18 points. There's the Boots and Sea House.
So I wonder then, do we see JP route back north immediately and go for Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb? Transition into Light World, I think that means yes.
Yes.
Okay, or not. He's just going to do laps around the house.
Sick kid.
Sick kid. All right. Which is fine. We needed to do this. Like, it's on the list.
Yeah, unfortunately, he gives us just a compass. And we have the flute activation, too. That's what the game plan here for JP was.
Now, I believe that C-Shape was actually the first thing in Outcast that we've seen, so Marcnificent giving us some slightly new information for the moment.
Yep, the map of Swamp Palace inside of the chest game.
And we'll see a venture down to the bombable hut before anything else. Just clearing out these Outcast locations. I actually like what JP's doing here, and going for... Might have actually done Bonk Rock first,
there's the other ball!
King's Tomb, and then we'll be able to flute back and get to that portal pretty quickly. And yeah, that second bow. So we'll have silvers for most of this run then, which is real nice.
Oh, yeah. And there's the flippers.
And there's the boots again. Wow, this is just so exciting. We're finding everything.
Yep, except for the hammer, the fire rod, and the cane of Samaria, or whatever.
Everything else that's not checked off yet.
Whatever we need to get into Misery Mire. Yay, the compass to this dungeon.
Small key to Hyrule Castle. We don't need that one.
JP checking the lumberjack. He did not check. It was Marcnificent who gave us the check to see there was 10 arrows earlier.
You know, this is a fine thing to check later on when, you know, we have quickish access to it. We still don't have the means to beat it, but now we know if we find that second castle tower key, as well as cape or a sword, we don't need to rush the tower right away.
We found our third Palace of Darkness key. And a small key to the cannon's tower, and JP is drawing in the ire of the villagers.
So third pod key is really, really nice. That's about the point where you feel super comfortable making the dip into the dungeon.
And JP about to pick up his silver arrows right now, and we're about to do some digging on Marcnificent's side.
So you remember talking about the whole world being open in a seed like this, and yeah, we're 36 minutes in. We're finding access to a lot of different things. The flipper's putting some stuff in logic. We still haven't seen the mire area. Obviously, we've got to go through the rest of the dark world. There is a lot that we can do. Blacksmith chain. So it comes down to how do these runners choose to go through this? And JP heading north to be able to get those flippers. Seeing that Marcnificent has already dropped down. Actually, no, they're going back up. Never mind. I don't know. Maybe my routing speculation maybe I just eat my words on that pretty quickly.
Oh, that's right. He's going to go pick up this key that we saw in the library earlier. And then I think he's going to do the Breadsmith chain.
That would be one good point of speculation. First key for Turtle Rock.
Second key.
Second key? Second key for Turtle Rock.
The only problem with doing this is that this is going to potentially orphan off the hammer pegs, but it's so close to the Dark World portal that it's not going to take a lot of time to get back.
in the portal and just running on down. It's generally a pretty quick one if we need to come back.
Yeah. Small key to Ganon's tower, and that's the third small key now to that dungeon. And just because we have found the big key to his tower doesn't mean that we're not going to have to explore his dungeon at all. As we see old Swagger Jackson's Marcnificent grabbing the purple chest, JP will get that skull small. So once he gets the fire rod, now he'll be able to beat the dungeon because he ended up doing the key from the underneath the pot. And Marcnificent's going to be giving us a check of K45. Where 20 rupees are inside.
So we're going to be seeing mostly the same checks +1 on JP's end right now, since Marcnificent did not go into Skullwoods to get the magic powder.
That's true. Stumpy giving us 20 rupees.
Just a lot of good old overworld cleanup right now. Still a lot of stuff we're missing, so this is what you got to do. In terms of beatable dungeons, even, like, we don't... From what I can tell, we don't have any dungeons that we can beat right this moment. So perhaps the idea is to go through this and then weigh your options. Which dungeon do you want to dive into, knowing it's probably going to be a double dip?
And we get ourselves a fire rod and purple chest.
And that means we can beat a dungeon.
Hooray! JP, by way of the magic powder, will find bombs.
So nothing too exciting there.
Yeah, we're gonna get our hype cave check now. I don't think that's what Marcnificent wanted to do there.
Seems like a quick swap accidental mirror.
Yeah. I wish I could blame my accidental mirrors this week on quick swap.
You can. Nobody has to know.
That's a little too late.
Nobody has to know.
480 people already now know this now. And there's the fire rod for JP and flute to 3. Time to beat Skullwoods. Desert Palace small.
Could be important. Really the only value out of that place, though. So we're going to see JP finish off Skullwoods, and then, personally, I'm really hoping that we'll see some Meyer information soon-ish. Because maybe we have bombos for both, and then we'll go down Medallion.
And bring us the Desert and Swamp Palace for the big bomb.
So we've got a bit of dungeon info. We're still missing a bit of dungeon info. It's interesting that we've got the 3 GT smalls. Because, yeah, like you were saying, we may not need to go through it. But without knowing what our pendants are at this point, it's tough to even speculate what might still be in Ganon's tower.
So Marcnificent was trying to make his way over towards the pyramid and such, and because he didn't get the flippers out of King's Tomb, he can't make his way over there just yet. So he's now going to go head on over towards the Misery Mire area, find out what medallion we need to get inside. And it's bombas for that as well.
So best case scenario for both of our runners in that situation.
And so, therefore, item-wise, we're just a hammer and a cane of Samaria away. There's the Tower of Hera big key.
I don't think that's the one we wanted to see right now.
Not at all. And there's what will be pod 4. It's third pod key for Marcnificent.
So that's good. 4 keys in total between both runners. Once we get the hammer, there's a little bit of funky routing involved, but that is a fully beatable dungeon then.
And just 20 rupees inside of the checkerboard as JP finishes off this room with the torches. Time to head over towards the desert area.
We do have this small key on the ledge that we've been curious about for a bit now.
And
also for Pod. That's really good. That is really, really good.
That's 5 pod keys now.
That means we can open the front door, just hammer yump, and keep it a very conveniently routed dungeon.
JP trying to finish off against this Mothula, and I was mentioning the items earlier. We also need a sword upgrade. Castle Tower 2. Nice, calm fight here for JP. He's just keeping everything under control, making sure he doesn't get overly aggressive. Looks like he's going to go to the green goo to try to maybe move this fight a little faster by way of switching back to the fire rod. It's all about patience.
Not being super friendly.
It's all about patience. There we go. Good job, JP.
50 rupees as the reward. So far, nothing out of desert aside from that Castle Tower small key. Necessary, but not immediately helpful, since that key alone is not going to lead to any unique rewards.
Yeah, but of course, the peace of mind is a lot better than anything else at this point.
That's true. We know we're not going to find that key somewhere deep in GT or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Silly.
It's not going to be the Ice Rod hunt of key sanity.
And we have the Ice Rod, so it's not going to be the Ice Rod hunt of Ice Rod hunt either. So we're pretty much set then, right?
Did JP check under the bridge? Yeah, he did.
I'm going to defer to chat on that one. I did not notice.
Looks like JP is going to continue on his route, as Marcnificent's going to be picking up his silver arrows right now. And chat confirming that he did do the bridge first, which is good to see. We don't want to see a loose square happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can pretty much set yourself up for disaster when you leave it behind a chest and it turns into be a loose square, because this randomizer seems to know when you do that, so therefore it's going to put something important in that loose square. I wonder how I know that.
I wonder as well, Rick. I don't wonder. So the flippers being in King's Tomb, I'm hoping for Marcnificent that this play up to Skull Woods is going to motivate a play over to King's Tomb, Bonk Rocks, and the Graveyard Ledge once Skull Woods is completed.
It would make great routing sense.
And the reason, yeah, flippers not immediately helpful in some ways, because we can get basically anywhere we need to with fake flippers, but it does put certain locations in logic. Even if we don't have the hammer and you don't want to go into Ice Palace, there's a surprising amount of things that you can do in Ice Palace if it comes down to that. Like if Pod is somehow completely empty, which it could be. I doubt it will be, but it could be. So you do want to see Marcnificent be able to get those flippers sooner rather than later.
Judging by how JP is routing this, I'm wondering if he's going to check the first chest of Swamp. Just based on the fact that he's going this direction as opposed to any other direction.
Well, he still hasn't been down to Hype Cave yet.
Right. So he checks the 5-6, checks Hype Cave, and then down to Swamp is what I'm thinking he might do here.
It's interesting. I mean, it's an irritating check just because of the mirror transitions, but we've seen it have stuff, so I don't know. Personally, and I think JP knows this too, there's more viable options for him right now, but it just depends on what sort of routing they're feeling like doing, I guess.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing, we do have access to Misery Mire. Yes, it's not a beatable dungeon, and it just does turn out that he is not going to go ahead and check that first chest of Swamp. But here's the thing, we can't beat Misery Mire, but we can get access to 7 of the 8 checks in that dungeon.
That's true. With the big key, fire sources, it's and actually having small keys going in makes it fairly quick to route through. So there's that to keep in mind. But for now, we actually haven't seen anything in this area aside from Zora. I guess JP's not planning to do that right now. Okay. So we are still not going to see Waterfall or grab that key off of the Zora ledge. Unless he's... I don't know. I'm just going to let JP's routing talk for himself. I don't know what he's doing.
I know what he's doing. He's doing the hobo right now and then doing a Palace of Darkness check.
Right now, yes. See, I want to provide insightful speculation, and I can't. Every time I do, he changes where he goes.
But here's the thing. Oh, death for Marcnificent. But here's the thing. I'm thinking what JP does is he checks the Palace of Darkness, then goes to the pyramid, does catfish, and then that's when we finally will get the Zora / the check in the waterfall.
Mm-hmm. That does make sense. So, based on where we know, I think there's a total of 5 pod smalls that we've seen now, right? JP only has 3. There was one for sure in the Mire Shed.
One in the Mire Shed and one on the Desert Ledge.
Okay, so that was 4 and 5. So JP's really going to be hoping to... Well, we can't beat it anymore. Either way, maybe the 6th key is in here and just cleans it up a little bit. But he's going to be able to get pretty much everything in this dungeon right now, aside from the boss and one of the outstanding checks between whether he chooses between the Hellway in the back or the vanilla big key chest. And we've got Marcnificent coming out of Skullwood's area, hopefully making a turn to the east here. He's got 3 checks to the right, and that is what we are going to see. So those flippers will be coming up. Checking Bumper Ledge first. We know that this one is another small key, right? So where's the cape? We don't know.
Maybe the cape's here on the Armos Knights, which is going to be the only new check we're going to get inside of this Eastern, but if you're going to head into Palace of Darkness, you might as well complete this while you're here.
That's true. I actually really like this. Yes, technically a little bit slower because of the mirror transition to go to Eastern first, but you've got a beatable crystal right now, so definitely more efficient.
I'm thinking that he's going to want to be in the Dark World when he mirrors out of the Palace of Darkness to do the pyramid and whatnot, to keep him from doing a save and quit somewhere that he doesn't mean to do, or
That's
food
true.
away.
That's true as well. And I guess at that point the mirror transitions cancel each other out because it's going to be like a 1-on-1 either way.
So this is like a basketball game?
It could be. We see Marcnificent throwing bombs at... We can just pretend there was a hoop on that cracked wall.
So that's what Link's doing with the bomb choosing Ocarina of Time.
Bomb chew bowling. I mean, the throwing bombs things does make sense if you go to Mario Party 1's Bomb Skid Ball. And
Never
just
played Mario Party 1.
So... Actually, you know what's really interesting right now for Marcnificent? This is a great spot, because he's already gone down to Hype Cave. He can go straight east from here, hit Catfish and Zora area before JP gets there.
Yeah, and he knows that there's a big key on the island, or on Zora Ledge.
This could actually work out in his favor. If there's something here and it winds up being... advantageous in any way, just have it a little bit before JP.
Yeah, we'll see. First of all, he's going to be buying some potions here to get himself happy and healthy, because having taken that death to Mothula, that's going to be putting you in that wannabe defensive mindset. Yeah,
certainly can't blame him. We're still running 6 hearts and green mail on his side. So a little bit of heads up, safety play, good for me. But yeah, like, there's a handful of things here that Marcnificent's about to check that JP has not. And if we see the hammer, for instance, Marcnificent could be able to one-shot pod and not have to risk coming back. And it's things like that it's things like that with a mode like this that can completely change how the rest of the race goes.
Nothing good on the right-hand side on the 2 bull block chests for JP.
And someone at my door, I guess. Apologies for the doorbell.
Piece of heart and a shield for Magnificent. But the question is what is that big key to? Single rupee in the staff host room. Still plenty more checks here for JP. Marcnificent. Oh, blue mail. There we go. Wow, it's a nice safety to have. This could be maybe like the Thieves' Town. Big key? No, it's not the Swamp Palace. Big key. Access to only one. And we can't even get there. Marcnificent going up to the mountain at this point in time.
Still has that small key on top of Spectacle Rock, as well as the Hera Big. So this could just be one quick errand trip, just to take a look at these couple of outstanding locations.
Here's the hammer jump for JP. Very important in Key Sanity to know this trick. Turtle Rock 3.
Could potentially be all of the TR smalls that we need. Logically, of course, you need all four. But nobody needs to open lava chests.
So we're going to find out what is inside of the Hera big chest at this point. And if it's something huge, you can figure JP's not going to get here for a while, but it's just a 20 rupee.
Only 20 rupees, okay.
So we got one new check coming here from JP that Marcnificent did not give us when he made his way over to this side of the world, and that is what is on the pyramid.
So it almost seems like our options are starting to narrow down again. Where do we go? Do we go into Mire? Do we go into Ice Palace? I don't think either of those are super appealing, but I would give Misery Mire the edge if those are options.
Although
a little bit of trouble on the spin speed.
Oh, well, we don't need that. But Quake.
JP doesn't know that yet, though.
Yeah, so. That's right. Because he hasn't checked Mire yet, so he has no idea what's over there. Marcnificent checking to see what we have inside of the big chest of skull, and that turns out to be the big key to Desert Palace. Uh-oh. JP needs the Thieves' Town big key to get him back in that direction.
I might be misremembering. Did JP not have the skull big when he was over there?
I cannot remember. Where was the skull big? Oh, in Zelda Cell.
Zelda Cell, okay. Well, that's going to be necessary. That's right, yeah. JP has not done Front of Escape.
All right, Marcnificent.
Back into Skullwoods. I think we were about to say the exact same thing there.
Yep, round 2 against Mothula.
Another shot. Has a little bit more health this time too. Still on green mail, so it's not a fun fight. It's a scary fight when you're on green mail and relatively low health.
And he also does have a blue potion that he purchased when he went into Zor last time. Barely enough magic to get the torches lit. JP does have that skull's big, though. He did do the Zelda Cell earlier.
So then he must have just forgotten about the skull big chest.
Yeah, and let's hope that doesn't come back to harm him here. And he needs the Thieves Town Big Key to at least get him back in that direction. Marcnificent's going to be able to go back to Desert to finish that dungeon off. Trying to be patient. This has not been a great seed for offense. Back there, we're still on Fighter Sword at 57 minutes in, speaks volume.
And no hammer, so we can't even get that tempered damage. Okay, so that's the big key for Swamp, which we did see on Marcnificent's side a bit ago.
That's unfortunate here for Marcnificent. A couple of shots in the fire rod got canceled out by the spikes.
Just playing it very patient now. Moth just hanging out up at the top of the room. That's not cool. Got a couple of quick hits in there. Should only be a couple more.
Oh, a bad hit to take right there. He's got another blue, though.
More blue. Okay.
Is this going to be a play for JP to go into Misery Mire at some point in time while he's in this general area? There we go. Marcnificent finishes off the Mothula fight.
Gets that 50 rupee reward as well as a crystal.
JP getting the Tower of Hera big plus the Palace of Darkness small. And I think at this point, Marcnificent goes to Desert.
That would seem so. Quick flute to 6. We've got that big key now, so we can check the big chest, go back, take care of the boss, get another crystal, which happens to be a 5-6, which is a good thing. Still need a hammer and a swamp small before we can get the other 5-6, and consider that as another location to check. JP picking up pod keys 4 and 5. So that'll be a very, very easy place to route in once he gets hammer and decides to head back.
Yeah, he's going to be able to full clear everything at this point. But I think if you're cheering on JP here, you do not want to see the Thieves Big coming up. Oh my goodness!
There's their big chest. And JP going to the right here will serve as confirmation that Skullwood's big chest was indeed skipped, which has the Desert Big Key, which has the hammer in the Desert Big Chest. So, you know, you're talking about the Thieves Big Key being a motivation for JP to head back to that area, right?
The hammer's another.
The hammer's another because of hammer pegs, and that's just not happening. And that Thieves Big could easily be locked behind hammer now, since hammer just opened up so much more of the game.
Oh yeah.
So JP's gonna have to remember about that location sooner rather than later, or that advantage for Marcnificent is just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, and Marcnificent has given JP a little bit of room earlier on with having some issues with the Moldorm fight, and then, of course, dying to Mothula. But he's got a good chain here that's an advantage at this stage, as JP is going to go into Misery Mire, and Marcnificent's going to be dealing with the Lamolos.
And I'll be clear, too, like, when we're saying advantage, we're not necessarily meaning someone just took a lead. With a mode like this, we're only an hour in, there is a lot of game left, so sit tight. This still has a lot to unfold.
Yeah, this is not a done deal. Again, it depends on when JP is able to get that Desert Big.
Definitely seems to be the big point right now. So as you had mentioned previously, Cane of Samaria would prevent us from... or rather not having it is going to prevent us from beating Misery Mire right now, but it is 7 checks that are relatively quick. We can go straight to the left side with that small key.
And we see Marcnificent even going into Mire at this point in time. With that hammer, gives him a lot of more things that he can do to perhaps find that Cane of Samaria.
Palace of Darkness should be fully beatable. Only having 4 smalls, might have to go to the bow side an extra time or so. But every item can be collected. Ice Palace is totally open. So there's a couple of relatively dense... I mean, Pod is definitely dense, like super dense. Ice Palace, relatively dense dungeons that we can just go right through now. So if that's what's on Marcnificent's mind, cool, go for it.
Oh, bad luck there for JP. Gonna have to do this the more vanilla styled way instead of launching the fire rod through the block.
You mean they didn't intend for fire rod shots to go through blocks originally?
I don't think they intended for you to delete them by a mirror either.
What if they did?
Then kudos to the staff at Nintendo back in 1991.
Yeah, those torches are actually very forgiving with their time. You can do everything with the lamp, and that's actually the way that it was supposed to be, since standing next to them with the fire rod is kind of overkill.
JP going to be checking this bridge chest here in the lobby. And 300 rupees.
Boy, if there's one thing that hasn't been an issue in this seat, it's been funds.
Well, that's fun.
It is. It is. It's one thing they don't have to worry about, and that's always fun.
At least it allows you to be able to buy your safeties. You've already seen Marcnificent and JP both buying some safeties this seed.
Mm-hmm. Small key
to Swamp Palace.
You know what? We'll take that. It keeps JP further away from that desert big and the skull big.
Oh, finally a sword upgrade.
Swamp Small is another really, really nice thing to find, so that's just fine.
All right, final check coming up here for JP. Not able to finish this dungeon without the Cane of Samaria.
Oh no, we actually, I'm going to correct myself. I'm getting ahead of myself. We can't do Swamp without the hammer. You can do the first two.
We can check the first two chests, yeah.
So no, he's still very, very bottlenecked.
And we're going to check to see what Aghanim has. And the two chests that are in Castle Tower. As Marcnificent makes his second lap around the mimics.
Boy, I am curious to see how this unfolds.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This one is not over with yet. And don't forget, this is the penultimate race of this week.
This is a big one. Rick, why don't you remind us what the implications are of either team winning this race?
Ahem. Well, you see, if WJPDTB wins this race, they'll be in a tie for second place with Did You Check Your Boo with 24 points going into the co-op Randomizer week next week. A loss will dump them into a four-way, or rather three-way tie for third place. Top three go to the playoffs. If Volkswagen Jackson wins this race, they go to 21 points. Actually, no, never mind. Back to you, DT.
Couldn't have said it better myself. No, this is a super important race for both of these teams.
Yes, it is. And so what I meant to say here is that a loss here by WJPDTB puts them into a tie with Volkswagen Jackson for third place. It doesn't dump them into the three-way abyss that is 18 points right now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't take points away for losses.
No, this division throughout the entirety of the league, though, has been exceptionally tight. Very frequent five-way ties for second place.
Oh my goodness, and speaking of that, just wait until the final race of this week out of the Lost Woods division. We have a three-way tie for second place right now, and two of the runners, they're going at it. Could maybe make it a four-way tie for second place with 24 points. That's the Last Locationers versus Two Pearl, Two Furious for 10 p.m. Eastern in 3 hours here on SpeedGaming.
That'll be another important one to watch. So if you like the league, and you should because it's been awesome, stick around just a bit after this race finishes up and watch another very, very important division race.
This is your first season in the league. How have you been enjoying it?
It's been a lot of fun to play. I like the different modes. I love playing with people. Like, one of my favorite things as a runner is to be able to do some co-op things, to be able to have that interaction with your friend. So that alone is to me what makes it so great, is that you're on a team with people. It's not you fending for yourself with a more traditional tournament. That's my take.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a good take to have. And next week we end things off with the co-op Randomizer, and that's going to be another fun time with your friends, whether you're battling it out for a playoff spot or battling to stay out of relegation, or maybe you're already saved from relegation but out of a playoff spot. You're just going to have fun to end this season. Co-op Randomizer starting tomorrow.
It is starting tomorrow. JP found nothing in Aga Tower. Of course, we're completing this anyway because it's all dungeons, and we need to. And we have Marcnificent going through and getting the last remaining thing for Palace of Darkness. I believe also picked up an item that JP was not able to get due to a shortage of keys. But this is a full clear, all in one go for Marcnificent, which is absolutely going to save some time, and at this point I might even say give a definitive lead.
Yeah, that hammer's going to be bottling up JP for a little while here. We got to send him our energy. Skull, big chest. That has the desert big. Big chest of desert is where the hammer lies.
And that hammer just, I mean, it goes without saying, that hammer locks so much of the game. There's bits and pieces of Ice Palace that can be done. We have a flute to 3.
Oh, come on, JP. Did he just hear our energy? Well, 10 minutes in the past.
I'm going to hold my breath on this one.
Go north, JP.
I don't want to speculate and then be wrong again.
He is going north.
Okay. So this just got really, really interesting. JP has that small key out of Skullwood, out of Misery Mire for Swamp Palace that Marcnificent has not yet gotten. Marcnificent has the advantage of being able to do all of Palace of Darkness in one go. Now it's tough to say. I shouldn't have said anything. That's how quickly these races can shift in such a full game mode. I suspect we're going to see JP go straight back to desert right now.
Small key to
and get that hammer, beat the dungeon. And yeah, just a small for skull off of Helma, which isn't useful. Like, what? We'll have to take a look and see exactly what we need at this point. We need the TR big. We still need a Thieves Town big key.
Yeah.
We still don't have all of our pendant info, I don't think.
And
so,
it's more and more likely that the Turtle, or rather Thieves Town, is going to be our other pendant.
It almost seems so. But looking at our tracker, we still don't know about Misery Mire, and without having a cane, no, we do have 2 pendants. So yeah, we're only looking for 1 more pendant. Hammer for JP.
And the big thing here for JP is the fact that he didn't route himself into Ice Palace. He didn't go into Swamp Palace after places that he couldn't finish. So that's helping him out. The major concern was if he decided to start going into dungeons he couldn't complete by way of Misery Mire, or not Misery Mire, by way of Swamp Palace, by way of Ice Palace, that's time he's giving back to Marcnificent.
And there was definitely some concern that Skullwood's big chest might have just been forgotten. Because he had that big key going into the dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
So, interesting to note. And Marcnificent, on the other side, just on a breeze through several beatable dungeons at this point, which is a really, really good process to be able to handle.
Now, don't forget, we do also have a small key up on the bumper ledge. We don't know what that is too, but
That's
as
true.
these keys are starting to come into shape, we're not going to need that small key.
That's very possible. It still could be one of the ones we don't need. I think there's another for Skull out there. We've only seen the one for Ice, I believe. Meyer should have a 3rd. Still missing that 4th TR small, though. And maybe it's that. Which is logically required. But
Oh,
assuming we're in item go mode at the time, and we don't need any other keys, we might not need to go for that either.
Oh, yeah.
This is nice. Look at that. Dual crystals for both of our runners.
Oh, yeah. So, by way of dungeons right now, JP and Marcnificent, they have finished 5 dungeons apiece. 4 dungeons for JP plus Ganon or Aga's Tower, and then Marcnificent with what you see on the tracker on the bottom there. Ice Palace time for JP. New checks ahead.
And playing the flute right before entering the portal, because why not? I think we're going to get simultaneous Ice Palace.
Yeah, we are going to get simultaneous checks. Now, there's one big advantage here that JP has that Marcnificent doesn't.
That would be that sword.
That Master Sword, yeah.
Helps a bit, assuming that our magic situation runs into trouble. You can at least slash Cold Stare with the Master Sword. Fighter Sword would be spins only, so I suspect in that case we would probably see more hammer strats. Hammer hitbox, of course, not being the most friendly. We'll see if that difference of sword actually winds up making a big difference throughout this dungeon.
Mm-hmm. And thankfully, because we have bombos, that means we have a few extra fire rod shots we can throw towards Cold Stare if we need to during that fight. So Marcnificent being a little careful because certain somebody during their race against Fant decided to despawn Ice Palace. I wonder who that person was.
Probably one of the lesser known despawns. Of course,
Oh, yeah.
The one up in Ganon's Tower is commonly reported. You don't see the Ice Palace one too often, involving the blueberries in that second room just as you're going upstairs. If that door opens, game 2 things 1 time. It's bye enemies. But no, Rick, I have no idea who did that, Rick. I couldn't imagine, Rick, that it was you, Rick.
Why are you saying my name 4 times?
You're a very good friend. I like your name.
Well, gee, thank you, DT. It's not like your name's in the team name here.
The team name that I still can't pronounce.
WJPDTB.
You
never say it fast.
No. Alright, so JP finally threw the bulk of Ice Palace and we can actually start seeing some of the items here. No Samaria, so knowing the Ice Palace bomb jump's still absolutely essential.
Yeah, because we've seen several races where the Samaria decides to be here in Ice Palace.
Mm-hmm. But then if you don't have Samaria, you need to kind of do the traditional way. So, yeah, knowing the Ice Palace bomb jump is still a very important thing. Makes the front half of the dungeon very slow, but that's okay.
Hey, one of the most useful maps in this game, Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, some health is nice.
Oh, yeah.
I think we saw a map. I would like to see some other stuff. But that Swamp Small, considering that JP's already gone through Misery Mire, I suspect we're going to see a play into Swamp Palace after this. I don't think there's really a whole lot else. Whereas Marcnificent doesn't have much else from Misery Mire. Without a Swamp Small, you're not going there.
Here's our iced tea room for JP, and we find some bombs in here. And it's tough to say who's got the lead at this point, but I do want to give JP the edge for the fact that he knows where the swamp key is, and that unlocks a lot of stuff. Isn't it 12 items in that Swamp Palace?
I believe Swamp Palace is 12 items. So much of this is muscle memory that I don't even look at the compass numbers at the top anymore. Just go there, you know where the chests are, clear them.
No, it's 10 items, that's right.
10? Okay. And there's Ether, another medallion that we don't need.
We have all of our medallions now, or at least JP does.
That's right, Quake was on the pyramid, which Marcnificent has not been to. And honestly, it would be best to just stay away from it at this point, although he does not know that.
All right, Cold Stare fight coming up here for JP. He's going to go with Bombo Strats to start off this fight, so that way he does have some energy for Fire Rod shots. Oh, got them separated here, so wants to be a little careful. Oh, nice finish!
Could not have really planned that, I don't think. That was cool. Not a good item, but hey, green pendant, maybe we'll get a good item.
And because JP has yet to finish off with the Palace of Darkness, he can trade in that green pendant. Sahasrala on his way over there.
That's true. That's an interesting idea. Question is, does JP want to go for density right now, or... Yeah, I guess he's going to 5. It makes sense.
And it is a crystal over there at Thieves Town.
As
It's also a crystal of Mire.
As well as Misery Myers. Our Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock's the pendant.
That's our last pendant. We could see the TR Big Key in Ganon's Tower if we're just analyzing what could be there.
Yeah.
Well, that would be it. So at this point then, we still need a Thieves Big Key and the Cane of Samaria to grant us access to Ganon's Tower at this point.
And also shout out to Marcnificent on that finished fight there. And we do see JP not turning in that green pendant just yet. I think he's going to wait until after he's done with the Palace of Darkness. While Marcnificent, this is the only thing he's got over here. So he's going to trade in that green pendant right away.
Just a red rupee. So still not what we're looking for.
So you know what key I think is on Bumper Ledge at this point?
Which key? And before you tell me, I'm going to say that it probably doesn't even matter. But which key do you think is there?
Well, you're right. It doesn't matter at this point. I'm thinking Thieves Town Small.
Sure, let's go with that. And if that's the case, then it actually could matter. So...
Well, yes and no.
Last key that you want to see there.
Hammer pegs for Marcnificent.
And this is a new check too. We have not seen this from either runner at this point, just due to the location of that hammer. And it's just a map. I don't believe that Mark has all of the information though, so... Well...
There we go.
That'll fully confirm it.
The first time to go ahead and check the magic bat, which was another reason why Marcnificent was able to do this.
Mm-hmm. Couple of quick things. A little bit more appealing than going straight to Misery Mire.
I can understand it. You don't want to go through a dungeon and find out that you're going to have to go back in, but it's looking more and more like that's going to be the case here.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, I mean, that's the idea behind these, right? Like, if this is Cane of Samaria, you one-shot Misery Mire, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. However, at this stage, I'm thinking that it's either going to be in Thieves Town or in Swamp Palace, but we're going to have to find where that big key is to Thieves Town first.
So which thing would you rather see first? I think there is an obvious answer here, because one blocks access to GT and the other one doesn't. But it's interesting to consider. Like, if we find the Thieves Town big key first...
If I'm in this position, I want to find the Turtle Rock big key first. That way I'm not searching 27 chests of Ganon's tower blindly, trying to see whether or not I have a required item there, whereas the other opponent's able to, hey, I can go and do Turtle Rock and you can't, haha.
That's true. I mean, I guess if we find the Thieves' Big Key first, that saves us a trip into TR at all. But if we find the TR Big first, we would still need Samaria to go there. And you have to go through TR to find the Thieves' Big. So maybe I'm not so sure which one I would rather find first. The one that eliminates the GT possibility is probably better.
Yeah. The one that has you going straight up to the 3rd floor.
Yeah, that's the best option. Walk in and just go right upstairs.
Marcnificent getting down to what is time-consuming small checks at this point.
Yeah, every check that is being made right now does add up. I mean, being right in the castle is fine because he'll be able to mirror and go do the tower. I don't believe... No, he can't. Not without a sword. We don't have cape yet, so no, that tower is not doable yet. I apologize. That's right, because that sword was in Misery Mire. Yeah, Marcnificent needs to go to Misery Mire.
Yeah, he has to get there right now, and now JP pretty much has a defined lead. Okay, what is this check now? Oh, Spike Cave, yeah. He really is desperately wanting to save a double dip of Mire.
You know what? That's not unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable, but we know at this point it's slim odds. It's still possible, but
yeah, I mean, there's two perspectives to this, right? There's ours, the comms, the viewer. We see both sides. We know what's going on. The runners being the other perspective. Now, every runner has their own style, and if you want to try to avoid making a double dip on a dungeon that's not really fun to go through,
oh yeah,
that's just what you got to do. So,
and plus the fact that we've done this mode this week, so we know the feeling of both at this stage. That's red, but not the red we're looking for.
Question in chat about the Swamp Small Key. It is in Misery Mire, along with a second and the only other sword that we know about.
Yeah. That's why it's so important, Marcnificent, to get over there.
And I think that's got to be the play now.
He's got to. He's got nothing else to do at this stage. However, you know, by the way, DT, the thing about getting the Turtle Rock Big Key, it does open up another possibility.
It would. The only thing that could be there, though, would be the Thieves Sound Big.
Yeah.
It does open something else up, though. You're correct.
Well, technically, it could open up a second thing, or a third thing, or a fourth thing, but we don't want to see fetch quests.
Well, anything that leads to the Thieves Sound Big Key would effectively be the Thieves Sound Big.
Well, yeah. I'm just talking about, hey, the book could be there, which would be annoying. The shovel could be there, which would be annoying. Or the mushroom could be there. Again, which would be annoying.
Rick, chat does not need your assistance.
I know they don't need my assistance.
I think what it comes down to right now is that something... There's the Thieves Town Small, so that's not on the bumper. We can safely eliminate the bumper ledge small key at this point. Probably. More than likely. But something in terms of direct progression basically needs to be in Swamp Palace for JP right now, because we've seen all of these outstanding checks from Mark's side. But what's it going to be? Thieves Town Big would give us direct progress, and Kano Samaria would. That's it. TR Big right now would do nothing, because we can only enter Turtle Rock. We wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go there.
I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see.
I'm not even gonna go.
If it's Thieves Town, great. We got another dungeon to beat. And having that small key now, there's 4 items that we can go in. Cane of Samaria at this point would open up quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Left side swamp play for JP. As we wait to see where the progression is going to be. This has become quite an exciting penultimate match this week.
Bombs on the left, and just about an hour and a half in, yeah, we are missing some very crucial items. Another small key to Skull Woods, which that one's not going to help us at all.
Now we can logically beat Skull Woods, of course. We've already done that.
So something's in the back of Swamp. Unless there's something I'm missing, but I mean, there's things that JP hasn't done. There's things that Marcnificent hasn't gotten to yet. And collectively, I think we've seen pretty much everything that we do have access to.
Yeah. The most annoying thing is that unless you know the bomb setup, you can't dive her down in this situation. And it looks like JP's now comfortable with the bomb setup, so he's just going to push the statue. I really hope that Marcnificent doesn't forget about that one chest there that has the sword in it.
That would be a really not.
Oh no!
Here,
Uh-oh.
and he's leaving, going straight for Swamp Palace. We don't immediately need another sword. We know that there was nothing in Aga Tower.
There's the cane.
Hopefully another sword can be found. I guess at this point behind the cane, because we haven't seen it in Swamp Palace. That's not.
We just did. We just saw it in the waterfall room.
Right. I misspoke. We hadn't seen anything in Swamp leading up to that, is what I was trying to say. So Marcnificent missing that sword is, in the long run, maybe not such a bad thing. It really depends on where the other swords are.
Yeah. It's just more going to be annoying here for this upcoming fight against Argus.
It will be, although I guess Master Sword Argus isn't super enjoyable either.
Yeah, but...
Definitely quicker.
Yeah. Because either you're dealing with the Fighter Sword spins, which are required because you can't hit them with Fighter Sword swings, or menu boss with switching to the hammer.
What I don't recall is if Marcnificent opened the big chest admire as well. So getting the king... He did? Okay.
Yeah, he did, which he was able to get the swamp small, because how he routed it was he went to the right side first, which kind of also was the undoing, because it made him orphan off what was the map chest, because he didn't have the switch down at that point.
Well, the Cane of Samaria is probably going to send him back in that direction, but if you're just go-moding the dungeon, no route is going to take you by that chest.
Mm-hmm. All right, JP going to give us some new information here by way of the Pyramid Bomb. The Desert Palace and Swamp Palace 5-6 combo this time around. And because he has done Aghanim already, he can mirror in front of the castle.
Yeah, this will be nice and enjoyable. And then I suspect for JP's end, it'll be just a quick trip back to Misery Mire, finish that off, and then go up the mountain and just go for TR. Thievestown Big and the TR Big are all that we need at this point. TR is not super loaded, or not super open to us right now. A handful of things in the front and Mimic Cave.
Yeah. And then you're cut off right there by needing the big key.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, at this point, it's kind of forced. So either Vitreous has the Thieves' Big Key, or we need to go into TR anyway. And it is what it is.
Nothing at the Pyramid Ferry. Trade in the bottle. Get ourselves at least a safety in the ferry in a bottle. Marcnificent's going to at least have to be somewhat careful through here with his hearts. Thankfully, there's a whole bunch of hearts underneath the pots in the side of this dungeon. Tried to do the hook shot duplicate, but only got single heart out of it. So, getting back to what our earlier discussion was, you want to see the Thieves Town big. But you also want to see the Turtle Rock big. This is a tough one.
You know what? I think at this point, the answer you were leaning toward is more correct. You do want to see the TR big first. We need both of them. It's all dungeons. I think you want to see the TR big first. That way, it's just trip through TR. Because you know that the Thieves Town big is not going to be in Ganon's Tower. The TR big could be. So yeah, that eliminates, to go with your answer, the one that lets you go into GT and go straight upstairs is the preferred order you want to see the items.
JP making his way over to Vitreous, which is going to be a nice, beautiful fight coming up here with the silver arrows in hand.
See, I guess that's another point where the Master Sword's not an immediate thing that Marcnificent's going to be missing, because Silver Arrow is going to be fine. That being said, we've cleared a lot of this game, and these are the only two swords that we've seen.
Yeah, this has been a very offensive, starved seed throughout the entire thing, and defensive for the while, because our first male upgrade, and the only male upgrade that we've seen so far, was in the Palace of Darkness.
Fortunately, health, not so much an issue anymore. Not at all, I would say. Riding on 5-6 hearts for the first little while was a little bit scary, but should be fairly comfortable in terms of health and the blue mail situation.
All right, here we go. The silver arrows right now for JP, avoiding the eyes because they still do hurt really, really bad here, even with blue mail turned on. And so the Vitreous fight done and over with. We get ourselves a small key. TR4.
Hey, that's actually fine. Because now we can fully eliminate the bumper ledge key.
Now we can do the lava chest and not feel guilty.
And I mean, considering that we're still looking for 2 big keys, like that's a good feeling to have, that you can safely open that and not have to worry about where the 4th one is now. That's actually a really nice find, even if it's not like the key that we were looking for.
JP is going to do hammer pegs before he heads up the mountain.
He sure is, because here's the thing. He still has a couple of things, hammer pegs, Spike Cave, that we may see him do before going into Turtle Rock.
Yeah. He wants to get himself into a position where he can do Thieves Town right away, but we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, this totally makes sense. Checking this is absolutely faster than getting even to the entrance of Turtle Rock, let alone anywhere in it.
But here's the question. At an hour 36 in, what's your thought process? Are you thinking that you might be behind? Are you thinking, oh God, I'm hoping the other runner has the same terrible seed? Because you got to remember, JP might be starting to think that, given where the hammer turned out to be.
Yeah, no, he could absolutely be feeling a little bit of that. He's in the better position right this moment.
But he doesn't know it.
No, of course not. The thing is, like, with a mode that you know you're pretty much going to be full clearing, it's not unreasonable at this time to still be missing a couple of key things. I don't mean that as a pun. Like,
oh yeah,
you get what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah,
and for Marcnificent, still missing tower access. Has both tower keys, which is great. Still don't have Master Sword or Cape to get into the tower. In addition to the Thieves Town and Turtle Rock big keys. So there's even more that Marcnificent's looking for, plus the time.
Oh, Hera big.
Aghanim and go through the tower.
Hera big here for JP. And there's the confirmation about the map.
So yeah, JP just trying to be as thorough as he can before going into Turtle Rock. Makes perfect sense. And speaking of thorough, Marcnificent going straight to Pyramid Fairy after swamp the same way that JP did. Good heads up routing, you're right here. If you're going to do it, this is the time to do it.
Yeah. And he'll probably leave here, do Spike Cave, and then cry a little, and then go into Turtle Rock. Because I know I would be crying a little.
It certainly gets to that point where you become a little weary. Like, where is it? Like, you're down to your last thing. It's such a bottleneck. And for that alone, any runner could start to feel behind. Like, if it's a bottleneck, then it's a match of execution. And have I been playing well enough? It's like, there's a lot of things that could be going through your mind for this.
JP deciding to swallow up the lube potion here. Making sure that he doesn't take the death at this stage. Gets the red rupee, and now, unfortunately for JP, he's defeated Aghanim. He's starting on top of the pyramid. More of an annoyance than anything else, and at this point, every single annoyance just weighs on you.
Alright, so what are we going to find in TR? It's going to be one of two big keys. Maybe both. That would, that would be most ideal.
Yeah.
But especially as we get down the stretch, the mental exhaustion of running a mode like this, the less back and forth, the better. So, no, we do not want to see the book. We do not want to see the mushroom.
Oh God, no!
Don't want to see the cape either, even though that key's irrelevant. We want to see big keys right now, and preferably the TR big, so that we can beat Turtle Rock all in one go, and just not have to get back into it.
And judging on the way that Marcnificent is routing this, he is not getting that Master Sword.
That sword, unfortunately, would require hitting the crystal switch.
Yep.
Or which way you go, so. Always unfortunate to see. Especially when you're routing a dungeon like this in a more unconventional way, because you have keys, it increases the likelihood of overlooking a spot, maybe two.
All right, here we go. Turtle Rock. We have 5 checks available to us right now. I think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Mimic Cave.
Plus Mimic Cave making 6, yeah.
I'll say again, though, it is good that we found that 4th TR small, because there's...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at this point, without the big key, I think you're opening the lava chest anyway. But now we don't have to worry about finding it after spending it on the lava chest. Nothing left side, or right side. I can directions. I guess we get the heart refill. It's not bad. There's a lot of things here that'll do damage to you. But that's not at all what JP's concern is right this moment.
Oh yeah, agreed. And here we go, the Silver Arrow fight for Vitreous. This is where the Master Sword will not make much of a difference.
It's another heart piece.
3 bombs and 2 heart pieces so far. And
So
don't forget JP.
Go ahead, Rick.
I was gonna say, don't forget JP has the advantage. He's already done Castle Tower.
Yeah, that's a several minute difference on its own. Roughly 2 for the climb. The fight varies, of course. Using a cool little punt strategy on the Samaria. I don't even care that we missed getting the switch. That was cool to see.
Yeah.
Compass. So
2.
You know what? I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be lava chest then, since all 4 keys were available reasonably.
And the reason I bring up the Council Tower thing is because it's going to look like it's close here for Marcnificent, closer than it actually is. We've got to find something, DT.
We're down to 2 things, unless there's something that literally all of us plus chat missed. We've got to find something here that at least opens up something. You don't want to see that. You want to see a big key here. But, okay.
There's a big key to Thieves Town.
Not as ideal as the TR Big, but we still have Mimic Cave. Honestly, that's not bad. I would have been happy personally, like if I was running this scene, either big key and not a book, not a fetch quest. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing to.
Which means we may be searching for a big key in Ganon's Tower.
That's the drawback. But at least we have access to something else.
Yes, that's right.
No, we've got one more chance here.
And we are going to wait a few extra seconds for that mirror bonk.
It's just RNG manipulation. It's fine.
Setting those mimics up the right way?
Sure. Trying to despawn the mimics, or I guess. I don't know. Having a little bit of trouble getting them aligned. Had the one that snuck out on the left side.
Oh, there it is!
Okay. Bailed out. That is what you wanted to see, where you found the Thieves Town Big. But
yeah, 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 15 seconds. JP, the first of these runners into go mode.
So this will be a very, very quick go mode through the rest of this. Of course, he's going to hope to find another sword. Tempered versus Master is a big, big difference on Ganon. But I don't know that we're going to see JP making too many checks aside from what's immediately on the way. And just given the sheer density of Ganon's Tower, the basement floors specifically, it's not unreasonable that both swords could be down there alone. And then, I don't think JP's going that way. He'll go straight upstairs. But that's just going to add up to more time for Marcnificent to not find a sword. There was one in Thieves Town, and that's where JP got the Master Sword. That is the only other sword that we've seen. Tough to say. You're going to hope that there's one in Thieves Town then, that Marcnificent is able to pick it up kind of quickly and conveniently.
Oh, there we go.
Bridge. So that's good for JP. He's not going to check anything else. That's good for Marcnificent because that's going to at least be go mode.
Thankfully, using the powder on the fairies here. And now the question is, does Marcnificent finish this out and go to Mimic Cave, or does he nope out of here now? This will tell the tale.
I think you have to keep going. Not in a position to miss things. Based on what we've seen, like how thorough he was going through Spike Cave and all of these other checks, I think that he's aware that he's got to keep looking.
Don't take a death here. I mean, he's got a fairy in a bottle, does JP?
Oh, got bopped.
Yeah, he's going to use it right there.
Got the double spin, though, so this will be a quick iframe, one hit, and we're done.
There we go.
Can't even see him.
Marcnificent just trying to finish off the Poke fight. Doesn't really go to his magic just yet. Because you want to have magic for the annoying spots ahead, but may finally have to go to it. Oh, there we go. We finished that off. All right. One trip off this mountain for JP. And then you can head over into Thieves Town, finish that off. You're not going to check a single thing. You're just going to bomb the attic.
Yeah, at this point, there's really nothing that would provide any sort of advantage here. There's nothing that would help JP any further.
Absolutely. So it looks like your team, WJPDTB, sitting in a good spot right now. Obviously, we still have the Gannon's Tower to go. We still have Thieves Town to go.
No race is over until it is over.
Absolutely. But
left. But yes, at this point, the biggest situation here is the sword that Marcnificent is about to get off of Laser Bridge.
And that will put him into go mode.
That's going to keep this probably within a handful of minutes, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Marcnificent to close the gap.
Marcnificent gonna have to be a little careful down to 2 hearts. As he bombs the attic, doesn't even bother to check another thing, just head on down to the maiden. And then head upstairs for that fight. The so-called scripted fight, if you will. And here we go, Marcnificent checking from bottom up. He is also going to open up the safety door.
I think this makes sense. You don't want to take it back here when one hit from the laser would take away enough of that, as well as the pit doing an additional heart. But we do have mirror shield, so I guess that's
there's our magic cape.
Yeah. I don't really want to see what that small key is anymore.
And there's the sword. So that was only one sword that was on this bridge.
That's true. Yeah, that would have been interesting if the other sword had been here.
All right, blind fight here for JP.
Nicely done.
Very well done there for JP. There's the other sword. So that's good news. Marcnificent is guaranteed to get the tempered sword.
That is good. So we are a Thieves Town apart as well as an Aga Tower apart, both in JP's advantage.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit slower of a Trinex fight since we need to use the hammer here as well.
And unfortunately has to wait out the explosion at this point in time since he didn't get to switch on over to the fire rod in time. Needs to be a little careful down to 4 hearts. Trinex is not necessarily an easy fight here, down to 1 heart.
And that should be it for the ice head. So,
and no more lunging out.
Big turtle snake at this point. Because that's what it is, right? It's a turtle that turns into a snake at the end.
I'll go with that. Wow.
Nice dodges. Gets those 5 hammers.
Yeah. Well done.
JP having some trouble with dead rocks. That's always fun.
Absolutely. And there's the blue pendant pickup for Marcnificent. JP now about to portal his way. And we'll be heading into Gannon's Tower, go straight up to the 3rd floor. So coming up next week for these teams, co-op Randomizer, with a full boss shuffle and the top of the Randomizer enemies being shuffled around. WJPDTB will be facing off against Forfeiters Are Us. And Old Spaghetti Jackson, they'll be facing off against Shack Tools Digging Game. So a real tough week coming up here. Old Spaghetti Jackson's going to be hanging on by a limb if they want to get into the playoffs. And it's one win away for WJPDTB to seal their fate in the playoffs that begin in Week 8.
Certainly a lot to look out for, even among other divisions. I know there's one more match at, I believe, 410 right here on Speed Gaming from another division that's going to really play a big role in shaping the outcome of that division. Nothing's set. Like it's going to come down to Week 7 for second and third places through a number of these divisions, but that last race is going to help shape it up.
Yeah, that's the Lost Woods division. Last Locationers taking on the Two Pearl, Two Furious. Last Locationers won in dramatic fashion last night to put them squarely in first place heading into week number 7 with 27 points, 3 better than their second place teams. A win will put them at 30 and pretty much guarantee them a spot in the playoffs. Almost guarantee them a spot in the playoffs, that is. Two Pearl, Two Furious, if they win, it's a 4-way tie for second place entering week 7. Over in the Kakariko division, we have a 2-way tie for first place between Error 216 and Pug Trio. That'll be a crazy week 7 coming up for both of those teams. But Komodo Hypers and the 2019 Titans Mid 2019 not assured a playoff spot just yet. Sitting in third place tied with 24 points apiece going into week number 7. And Skullwoods division, it's been all Fandranos Drifters. They're the only undefeated team through 6 weeks. And how about that, to go undefeated in this league with the way that these divisions were set up, the way that this league was set up this season?
Yeah, that should not have... you almost could say that shouldn't have happened. Just because there's such fierce competition in these leagues. No match is free, of course, but they've played exceptionally well. And, I mean, honestly, what more can you say than good for them?
Absolutely. Fandrano Drifters featuring the work of Jet, Megawatt, and Frostbite. Also in that division, Talrumi sitting in second place right now. JP, Don't Take a Death. Team Kappa, Waffle House Drive-Thru, they're both sitting third place, 21 points, so they got a lot to play for coming up in week number 7. A lot of big things coming up here, and by the way, Team Kappa plays Waffle House Drive-Thru in week 7.
Now, JP does have a blue potion. I was getting a little bit worried that there's a lot of things up here that will kill you when you have 1 heart. And he was down to 1 heart going through Torches 1.
Yeah. And it's a long walk back up the tower. And you're not feeling good about that walk back up the tower if you take that death. And there's the sound finished off for Marcnificent. We'll head over to Ganon's Tower next. Has the Castle Tower to do as well, so he's still, what, you'd have to say maybe 5 minutes apart at this point?
Thereabouts. Plus or minus a little bit. I can't give exact numbers, but that sounds reasonable enough.
Oh, that's a creative kill.
Oh yeah, just knocking the beetle off of the mini helmet off of the bumper.
Yeah.
That's fun. No, that room is honestly really enjoyable. Didn't look like the most friendly Aga pattern, but good enough to get 2 hits on phase 1.
A blue ball made it a only possible 2 on that, but I think JP just needs one more, and he'll be off against Ganon. There we go.
That is correct. So with silvers and all of the offense that we could possibly need, we've got enough time. We'll likely see JP come in with a time under 2 hours in this.
And if he doesn't get it under 2 hours, he'll be close.
As Marcnificent entering Ganon's tower right now, still has to do this as well as the castle tower, as we've stated. All in all, like for a 2-hour seed, this isn't going to come down to a huge difference. There were absolutely routing things from both runners that traded the leads a bit throughout the first hour. We were worried that hammer placement for JP was going to pull him back far enough.
And what?
And go ahead.
I was gonna say what helped him out there is the fact that he didn't dive into Ice Palace. He didn't dive into Swamp Palace without that hammer. He didn't get locked up by those locations.
Right. So even with a double dip into Palace of Darkness, there wasn't a whole lot to do the second time around. So getting there was probably the biggest time sink of that, and that's probably less than a minute or so on its own. You know, I'm still gonna say I think that sword location still wasn't necessarily the big difference for Marcnificent.
No.
Aside from being able to do Castle Tower early, it didn't lead to any progression, so it's not like anything was missing there.
I think the big thing was that he just stayed out of Misery Mire way too long. As JP lifts up the sword, and will put WJP-TBB comfortably at 24 points, 6 ahead of the pack for the third place, fourth place conglomeration. But GG's to JP, finishing with an official race time, that GG time of 1:59.10. And we welcome into the post-race conversation BrewersFanJP.
Hi.
JP.
Thank you.
In 3 words or fewer, what's your thoughts about this seed as a whole?
3 words of fear, okay.
That was a lot more than 3 words already. I'm sorry.
You're disqualified. Thank you.
I don't know. It wasn't too bad overall, but I mean, some of those I was worried because of how some of that stuff was placed. First question I have, because I can't remember this. When did I pick up the Skullwoods Big Key?
It was in Zelda's cell.
Oh, so I had it the first time I went into Skullwoods.
Yep.
Got it. So that's what happened. You had forgotten that you had the big key then.
Yeah, I forgot I had the big key. I thought I went into Skullwoods. I didn't think I had the big key.
And what led you to remember that you did have the big key?
So I was climbing. I was climbing Aga's Tower at that point, and after I picked up the Master Sword in Mire.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I just climbed Aga's Tower because I want some time to think. Because at that point I'm like, these locations that are left are pretty ugly, and so I'm like, okay, what do I want to dive? And at that point I'm like, you know what? Let's do Skullwoods first because I have that big key, and it's a quick check. And so I went to Skullwoods and check the chest, and it's desert big. I'm like, oh, okay, at least I can go clear it. And that'll give me a little more time to find it. And then I got the hammer. I'm like, okay, that's good because I didn't do extra double dips.
Yeah. And I think that time that you used to think going up the tower actually saved you, because we were speculating that you may go into Swamp with checking those 2 chests. You may go into Ice Palace and put yourself into a time sink that way. And because of the fact that you were able to stay away from both of those, it helped minimize what could have been a disaster at that point.
Yeah. And I was even thinking that because after I picked up that hammer, I'm like, okay, I'm good. And I started start checking things, and then after that, I started to think, wait, when did I get that Skullwoods big key?
Mhm.
And
At that point, it doesn't even matter, I guess. But it's a looming curiosity.
yeah,
Yeah, we were wondering for a while, like, what could you even find that would send you back into that area? Thieves Town big? Sure. Hammer? Wait, no, that's not going to happen. So it was good that you were able to eventually get there, because the leading to the Hammer, of course, is absolutely huge.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know why I blinked on that big key, but
It's huge mode. It happens.
It happens. A whole lot of things to be thinking about in this mode. Also helped out the fact that your Moldorm fight with the fighter sword was very, very clean. Marcnificent, unfortunately, took, 3 falls.
yeah,
And then he also had a death to Mothula as well.
yeah, that hurts. Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking back through this seed. Even if I pick up that Desert Big on my first trip through Skullwoods, there's a strong chance I still double dip pod, because at that point I'm thinking, I don't have a hammer. I don't like leaving stuff behind in Dark World when I don't have a hammer. So I probably would have double dip pod. So that's probably wouldn't have changed. My other double dips though, Meyer might have still been a double dip because I don't remember where the Swamp Small was.
Swamp Small was in Meyer, so that was automatic double dip.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Meyer double dip didn't count.
And it was in the big chest of Myers, so
Okay, so that double dip didn't count.
It was-
Eastern double.
it was a hard double dip. And also Eastern, I think, was a hard double dip because that was where the first gloves were.
Yep, Eastern was a hard double dip, so that didn't bug me. I'm trying to think, what else did I double? I guess it kind of double dipped Skullwoods, but that really doesn't count. Triple dipped, to be fair, but that one doesn't really count as much.
And you also double dipped Thieves Town, but that was routing convenience by checking the first 4.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think that one counts either for that.
Yeah.
For key sanity.
So overall, I did some double dips I could have avoided, but I don't think any of them were that bad.
I would personally agree with that just from watching.
Yeah.
Doing double dips in key sanity is honestly just part of the mode. Like it's gonna happen at least once in pretty much every seat.
Yeah,
So,
and we mentioned 3 cases of it happening here.
something
Yeah.
like that. And I mean, just other small things throughout the race, like you having magic powder before going to magic bat where Marcnificent did not. You having the lamp for the front of escape where Marcnificent did not. So there's just a couple extra things that Marcnificent needed to revisit that you were able to do all in one go.
Yeah. I was also kind of wondering if there was a chance that he could potentially have missed that mirror on Death Mountain. Because that was because I was tempted to leave until I got the mirror, and I'm like, no, we should check these to be safe. And then the mirror pops up. So that really helped with the routing too.
Kind of seed forced you into a particular path early on, and I think that helped both of you out in regards to your Death Mountain plays.
Yeah.
So one question I do want to ask, and now with this win, it separates you from the pack that are sitting down at 4th place, trying to get into the playoffs here. You're in control of your destiny. Just need to win one of these 2 or tie, and you're in the playoffs. What's your thoughts going into the co-op Randomizer week next week?
It's going to be an interesting week for sure. We've been doing some practice, getting kind of used to the mode. Some of the lower percentage situations, especially in Randomizer, which can be even rougher. I'm definitely feeling better than had we lost this one, because that would have been so tough going into next week. Now I feel a little bit more of relief. I can enjoy next week a little bit more. But at the same time, Forfeiters Are Us. They've won 4 in a row, I think. They're hot. We cannot take them lightly.
Absolutely not. It's. I guess I'll speak to it being on the team as well for a moment. Like it puts us in a more comfortable position. We've got some breathing room, but we're not done. We've got 2 very, very crucial matches still.
Yeah.
And at least with the win here, should you be tied with Old Swagger Jackson heading at the end of week 7, you do have the tiebreaker by way of head-to-head against them.
Yeah, that's good too. It's going to be interesting to look at some of those tiebreakers. I don't envy the admins having to figure out. I'm sure we're going to see a spreadsheet in the next, probably by the end of the day, where it says, "Here's all the potential scenarios going into the last week." And oh man, there's some of these divisions are so close. Like the potential scenarios are just almost anything can happen.
And also, right now, you are in a tie for second place with Did You Check Your Boot? However, you do have the tiebreaker over them.
Yep. So if we do face in the playoffs, we'll at least get the home choice advantage, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But we're also going to be kind of rooting for Old Swagga next week because we still have a shot at first place if they can. They probably need to get 2 wins off of Shack Tool, but we still do have a shot at first in the division.
And Marcnificent almost finishing off with this Ganon fight. Final silver arrow, and there it is. Get your GGs in the chat for Marcnificent. Old Swagga Jackson finishing off. About ready to cross the bridge, and we'll cross with an official race time at GG time of 2 hours, 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 38 seconds. And I believe that sound means we have a Marcnificent here with us.
Hi. GG.
GG.
So I want to ask this question because I think this was kind of on your mind through the final real quarter of this where you're still trying to find things. Were you hoping to find the Cane of Samaria before you dived into Misery Mire?
Yeah, I was. I figured, I don't know. I was thinking that I wanted to do that in one go, and I was just, I don't know, in my head, I was like, this is probably not it. I don't know how I'm gonna get back in this race after checking all that, but yeah, I mean, it had to be that small key had to be the first chest that I checked in Mire, and I was just like, all right, you know, this. It's like, should I leave? It was like, okay, so Mario's probably not in here, and just a lot of yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess a lot of anxiety, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it was a hard required double dip of Misery Mire turning into the Cane of Samaria in the waterfall chest. So I don't know how I want to ask this question, but I do want to ask this question. What happened with the map chest in Mire with you?
Which one's the map chest? What happened?
That's the one that's to the left of the big chest.
To the left of the. What am I thinking here? Oh, I guess I just didn't check it. I completely forgot about it. Yeah.
So you know what was inside?
Oh, was it a sword?
It was a sword.
That would have made some of my fights easier, especially, I guess, Argus. Yeah, wow, a lot of my fights, actually.
Argus,
Trinex for sure.
And ultimately, I don't think that the sword, and it's a fortunate thing. I don't think the sword actually played that much of a difference in it because you were still able to find 2 more. The only thing that really blocked from you, because we didn't have cape until late either, was Castle Tower access. Which, by the way, this was like some of the latest Castle Tower access I think I've seen. But there was nothing there, so it didn't block anything from me. It was just an extra place that could have been done. But I think at that point, you get the Master Sword. You probably weren't having your sights set on that anyway. When you did have all of Swamp, and at the time you didn't know you had all of TR, I guess. But there would have been some other options, I think.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's not really. I like to, put off Castle Tower for a while, but obviously, if that was open and I still needed a couple keys, I would definitely check that first. But I just realized I did check both chests in there. I guess maybe for a sword, but in Castle Tower. But I could have completely bypassed that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more of an automatic type of thing.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. It
don't-
was muscle
yeah.
memory.
Don't worry, I had a pretty big miss myself, so you weren't the only one that had a miss in this seed.
Yeah, he wound up forgetting that he had the skull big and his first go through, so he never got the desert big until after he did Aga 1.
Yeah, I think I forgot to do skull big chest first time I was there, but I knew it was coming back anyway because I died, and I was just not going to try that again. And then I remembered on my way to Graveyard Ledge, I was like, oh yeah, there is a big chest and skull, and luckily I did check that. I was like, because that led to the hammer. So
It was real interesting watching this, just from a routing perspective, that there were so many things that each of you were finding just at slightly different moments from the other person that shifted advantages slightly. And for a lot of this, it was fairly back and forth. Marcnificent, unfortunately, having not the most pleasant Moldorm fight.
oh no,
that was tough to watch. Like, you got to the 5 hits twice, and then he still bopped you from the side. You're just jumping right back on and continuing to go for it and doing as well as you did.
Yeah, I also had the blue cane. That could have helped. Even I'm not sure, but like I had that. I was like, okay, hook shot strats. Let's try to use the hook shot. And I don't know.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't know. I kept failing, and I don't know. I just had to keep going. I don't know.
I mean, the last thing that I could really think to say is that out of a 2-hour seed, coming down to if my math is roughly close enough, an 8.5 minute difference, almost 9 minutes, out of 2 hours is a good close race in my book. From the years I've been watching this, you both did well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, my cut, my death, and my Moldorm falls, and I mean, if not for that, that really is not that much time difference. I think it was just, I guess, how much I put off the mire. I mean, that really was it. Sword difference, could have,
Little bits of routing. Some of it's completely out of your hands. Like when it comes to lamp and powder, JP both had those, or had both of those on his first time through their respective areas for like Dark Cross and Magic Bat, whereas you wound up going back. So just small things like that with routing decisions that's not really at anyone's fault either. So
yeah, it's part of rando, I guess. So play the best you can.
Yeah, exactly.
good summary.
Yeah. Yep.
So next week, co-op Randomizer, you guys over there at Old Spike at Jackson will be facing off against Shack Tools Digging Game. Any thoughts heading into week number 7?
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to play our best game. I think we need 2 wins. I think I was hearing this from you guys. We need 2 wins to at least maybe get a tie for second. Yeah, I co-op Randomizer is something I haven't practiced yet, so that's something I have to, there's a lot of things to keep in mind there as far as like bosses and dungeons and stuff like that. I guess since it's co-op, it's co-op, right? And not
it's co-op.
Not spoiler. It's not pilot. Okay. Yeah, I guess there is something to keep in mind there, like which boss is in which dungeon and et cetera, et cetera.
What logic wants you to do and various things. It's gonna be a fun time next week.
Yeah, I for sure. That's something I have to practice with one of my teammates at least once. One practice session at least. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a new mode, and it's always it's always interesting to run a fresh mode. At least for me, I'm not sure. I can't speak on behalf of anyone else here, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be a fun week. I know I like Randomizer to an extent because I like the different challenges it provides. I know at least one of my teammates doesn't, and it's not DT. I think DT.
Gee, I wonder which one that is.
Wait, what about me?
I think I was just saying, like, I'm fine with Randomizer, but I know at least one of my teammates isn't, though I think you're fine with it, so I think it's the...
I don't know. I didn't do so well when we practiced it last week.
Which is why we're practicing again. I mean, to be fair for you, when we practiced, you were pretty tired, so we'll just blame it on that.
Fair
What
enough.
is the excuse in the book?
So in about an hour and a half, 4:10 p.m., we have the last locationers versus 2 Pearl, 2 Furious. And that will be right here on SpeedGaming 1 as well, from another division in the Invitational League. And that is a very important match to help shape the outcome of that division through Week 7. So stick around if you want to check that in about 90 minutes. We have had JP and Marcnificent for the last 2 hours. Another very important match for the division that they're in. And a really, really great race to watch. So looking forward to seeing what happens in Week 7 through that division as well. Runners, GG's to you. Loved watching that. Do you have any other thoughts, anything you want to chime in with?
No, GG again, and thanks to you guys for coming. Thanks to Dark Diplomat for the tracking, and Speed Gaming for the restream as usual.
Yeah, GG. Like JP said, thank you guys for coming, and for trackers, everyone for tuning in, and best of luck to your team in the rest of the tourney. I hope you guys make it far.
Yeah, thanks. Send you good luck next week. We're gonna be rooting for you because we'd like to get that first seed. So, wouldn't mind seeing you take down Czech once or twice.
We'll try.
Preferably twice.
So, Rick, they just thanked everyone involved for us, right? We can just leave. We don't have to sign. That was our sign. They signed off for us.
They did. That's for certain. Thank you, DT. It's been fun working with you.
Adirondack Rick, it's been a pleasure. I'm in the name of DT again. Thanks to you, Dark Diplomat, for keeping those trackers so up to date. We hope that all of you out in Viewerland have such a great day, and come on back for that race soon enough. And just thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Have a great day, everybody.